Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's video on assisting you with the full-size gasket single view drawing on an A-size sheet of paper. This one is probably going to feel like a little bit of a step back from the last drawing we completed, but from here it's going to really pick up. And this one has a couple of techniques that we really need to hone in on before we move on. So it won't be lengthy, but it'll be a quality piece all the same. So basically the way this one starts out is you want to open up your A-size landscape template. Remember, by this time you have in your drafting folder an A-size landscape portrait, A-size, and a landscape B-size blank sheet or template drawing file, all three. And by and large, you'll be using the A and B size landscape, but as you found out last week, the A size portrait comes into play on occasion as well. So again, we're going to choose the A size B or the A size landscape template, sorry, in order to get started. Now make sure before we go further, and again, this is in conjunction with the Google Classroom assignment for the gasket drawing that has an image attached to it as well as this video link. You want to have the AutoCAD session up and running on one screen, and then of course your JPEG image of the gasket scan drawing on another monitor screen. And this is the way I would go about it. Now there's many different ways, as you've already discovered at this point, on how to go about much of what makes up these drawings. But for what it's worth, here's how I'm going to steer you through it. So basically the first thing before we throw down one line is I want to go into Home, Layers, Properties, and I want to make sure that your layers align to mine. I'm going to put the check down here under Status for Visible Line, but other than that, everything you see here should match up entirely to what you have in your file. If not, see me or go about creating these layers as you see listed here, both with the line weights associated with the line types, colors, and names. Zero and depth points come with you already from the get-go, but what you should have in here are the center line, dimension, hidden line, title block, and visible line layers, just as you see it here. So I'll pause for a moment so you can catch these specifications, okay? But more than likely you have that already in play. At that point, you'd save it. Now, we want to save as ourselves because obviously what we're going to create here in the way of a drawing, you do not want to save over your blank template. You want to always have that blank template available to you. So go ahead and, as you can see, I already have this file saved. You do not have to name it to the part 4, but what would be ideal is if you were to name it maybe your last name _ gasket. Okay? That way it's saved off. Every time you save from here on out, it will just update. So now, looking at this image, I'm going to start in the middle and work my way out. It really doesn't matter whether you would have worked from the outer extensions in, but I always like to establish my fulcrum point, in this case my center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this 2.5 inch arc, diameter circle I should say, a 4 inch circle that encapsulates this 2 inch radius, and then 3.5 inches out in each direction, 2 inch and a 1 inch diameter. Okay, so you're going to pick up on a couple things here. One, how to create arcs from circles, and then 2, how to create lines tangent to 2 existing arcs. And then lastly, how we go about centering this thing, which should work out fairly well because it's a single view drawing is symmetrical about each axis. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Circle, and again, I made sure that I'm on the visible line layer. I'm going to go circle, and I'm just going to, actually what I'd like to do, let's go zoom in and let's make sure that we're dead center with this center line. I'm going to create the center lines for this center circle first. So let's go ahead and change our layer to center line. And then I'm going to put a dimension down between here and here just because I want to see what it is. Okay, it's 10 inches. And then width-wise, I have 6 7/8. Not so I'm going to go half the distance for the 10 inches, which will give me, actually that doesn't really matter at this point. Stay on center line. Let's go to home, let's go offset. I want to make sure that the center of my part is dead center to the drawing. So I have a 10-inch distance from here to here. I'm going to do an offset of 5 inches. And I could pick off here or here. I'm going to pick off here and place it here. As you may have recalled, we have a distance here of 6 7/8. I'm going to go half that too, in calling for an offset of 3.4375. Now again, you could do the math yourself, but it's 6 7/8. I just know from looking at it that's going to be 3 7/16, so 3.4375. So I choose that value and I come up. Now I have a bullseye right in the center of this drawing, which is going to basically capture this center hole. All right, both holes. So now I'm going to go back to layer properties, go to center line, or visible line, sorry. Go to circle, diameter. Because what do I know about this center hole? I know the center hole is 2.5 inches. I know the outer diameter is 4 inches because it's twice the radius, of course. So let's go choose this center point, and I'm going to say 2.5. I'm going to choose the center point again. And again, if you didn't want to do the math, you could choose the 2-inch radius with this, but it's to each their own. You can go concentric here because it's going to be concentric to the hole you just created, or you can just pick the midpoint. Makes no difference. Choose 4. So you've just created this guy and this guy in the process. All right. Let's go ahead and create our outer diameters. All right. On both ends, and I'm going to introduce another command while I'm at it with this. Just go out on this end. We're going to draw a 2-inch circle and a 1-inch circle, right? Because the 1-inch radius here would suggest a 2-inch circle, and the whole diameter is 1 inch. You notice they don't call out 2 places here or here, but it's just assumed in this case, okay? Let's go ahead and accomplish that. And the way I'm going to do it is with a diameter. And instead of holding here, I'm going to remember this move, 3.5 and 1 inch. Here we go, circle diameter. Concentric, center is the same as concentric. See the circle that comes up within the other circle? Choose it, and now go 2. And if you're wanting to confirm, just go to annotate dimension. Should see 3.5. All right. Did you see how I tracked? Again, I might not have mentioned it earlier, but there's a 7.5-inch distance between the 2 holes, symmetric about the y-axis. So that's 3.5 inches in the one direction. All right. And all I did was band and track from the center and come over 3.5. Now I can do the exact same thing on this side, but instead I want to introduce you to another command that we've yet to really touch on, and that's mirror. Mirror is going to allow me to select these objects and then establish a line from which to flip them onto the other half. So if I choose my center line in the y-axis with these 2 points, it flips them over to give me the mirror image, if you will. Erase source objects will give you the option to delete those, and of course we don't want to do that. And by and large, you've created this whole drawing, save for some trimming and a couple of dimensions, right? Let's create those center lines that you see in magenta here on this drawing and wrap this guy up, all right? So actually what I'm going to show you, I'm going to leave the dimensioning to you. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to show you the creation of the center lines and then the key lesson out of this, and that is the drawing the 4 lines tangent to existing arcs. And then I'll leave you to the dimensioning, because I think that's pretty straightforward here in following this image. All right, so line, and I'm going to go ahead and change. Actually, I'm going to draw the tangent lines that make up the body first. Okay, so we're going to go line, and I want you to go down here to the object snap and select tangent. You notice that blue box is on. It enables all of our snap points, and we're going to go tangent. Okay, and then go back to line. Might have to turn some off. I'm going to turn center off. Actually, I like to turn most everything off when I'm using tangent. I don't know why, it just ensures that it'll work. See how that works? Line. As soon as you see that little omega sign come up, that's reminiscent of the tangency. That says it's got its tangency, and it's going to find it relative to your next chosen entity. And I'm just escaping out every time with my keyboard as I create each separate line. You may want to wait until it comes up deferred tangent and zoom in on it if you're not sure, but that should do it. Now, while I'm at it, because I know I'm going in opposite order, but I want to create those 2 center lines that make up the outer holes. So I'm going to change my layer real quick to center line, create a line. Now I'm going to have to go back to my object snaps and turn a few of these on. Never sure which, but we'll start with those. Sometimes you got to play around with this to know really what you want or what you need. Notice with the banding and with my screen picks, I'm going beyond the object lines, but I'm not going by much. Ballpark, I want to make this exceed the object lines by about 1/8 inch. All right, and I can make it exactly the same on both ends if I'm careful, kind of like so. No, we won't kill too much time with that. Good enough. All right. Let's fence those 2 objects in, do a properties, and change that layer to center line so that those 2 lines match up. Might want to click on that and grab the grip, move that up. Remember, whoops. Remember that from last week. Grips are invaluable in AutoCAD. You gotta kind of turn this, you might want to just turn the square off, pull it down, pull it up. Not bad, not bad. I might even bring these in a little bit too. Basically, click it and pull, all right? Now, the key to the kingdom, the almighty trim, encapsulate the whole thing with a fence. Hit your trim command. At this point, Not that, but that you're just basically taking out what doesn't go, right? Which is a whole lot of what makes up the internal. There's even a slight, even once you get the main pieces, there's even slight sections you'll need to clean up here and there, right on the edge. And remember, while in the command, you can use your tracking ball to zoom in and pan around. I believe we did it. Good job. Save it off. Oh, make sure and address the title block. Gasket and your date. And you'll be all set to go. And that's essentially it. Good job, and thanks for hanging in there with me during this video.